It's Sandy Parker, and welcome to Crafting for Almost Everyone. One of my viewers from Ireland asked me if I would give a shot to mixed media, and you know I'm a little intimidated, but I'm going to give it a try. So that's our card for today. It's going to be Easter and butterfly. So much fun. Hope you'll stay tuned. The first thing I've done is I've taken a card that is 8.5 inches long by 5.5 inches across, and then I scored it at 4 1/4 and folded half of it under my scrap paper, and then I've taped the rest down. That way I can be sure that I won't get any, we'll call it gunk, because you know I like to use proper crafting terms, in the inside of my card or anywhere else that I don't want it. So that's my first step, in case you were concerned that I might not have a first step. I'm going to use this Tim Holtz new stencils from Stampers Anonymous, but I called the set came with flowers. That wasn't the name of it. That's what it came with. It was a set that was a stamped set of flowers and this stencil. I'm going to use some of this Faber Castell Texture Luxe Pearl. I'm going to use just a flat knife. I seem to have better results by putting the embossing paste or whatever texture paste I'm using. I have better results if I flip over my knife and have it on the bottom rather than messing around with it. I'm just trying to explain that, and I'm not really doing a great job, but that's my plan. So I've got everything attached down, hopefully, and I'm going to try to just make sure that I put my paste on the stencil and not have it go between the layers, or under the layers, I mean. That's my goal. Since my friend in Ireland likes butterflies and teals and blues, I thought I would use this Best of Butterflies and Butterfly Basics. And this is the Easter one I might be using, that's Amuse Studio for Peeps Sake. So those are the ones I might be using. I know I'm using the 2 butterfly ones because I've already been playing with those. So I think the first thing we're going to do in our exploration into mixed media is we're going to try using some watercolors onto our stamp, and I want to mix a teal color if I can. I have some blue on my palette, as you can see, and then I'm going to try a little green in there. Too much green. Going to have to shoot for more of the blue. So now what we're going to do is we're going to, if you've never done this before, I'm not good at it, but I'm going to try it, and that is we're going to take our watercolors. I'm putting this over so you can see me do it. I'm going to paint my my butterfly with my watercolors, and you don't want it to be too wet because you'll get a real smushy. It'll be too, I can't explain it. It'll be too watercolory. Ooh, look how pretty that is. How frisky. And there you have it. I like it. I like this one, but it's got too much pink in it. I don't know why it has so much pink in it. It's not getting the color I want it to be. Why? I don't know. One more time. I like the color of the bottom one. We'll let these dry and we'll try something else next. Alright, I decided I needed to fix my little mistake here, and the way I'm going to do it is just add more to this edge, just making sure that we've got a little bit of our boo-boo fixed. Alright. And as I said, I was probably just going to get more of a mess on there. I'm just going to make sure I cover up the spots I don't like with things I do. I have lots of butterflies to put on, so we're going to just go with butterflies. I have some glitter paste that I want to use on my butterflies, and I'm going to do that with the existing butterflies. I think I'm going to use it on this because it needs something to make it more lively. Since it's not the right colors, I thought what I would do is, using my same stencil, I'm just going to use it over this, and I'm going to use this Bow Bunny glitter paste, and it's like a light blue. If I didn't say this already, I have better luck using the back, putting stuff on the back of my palette knife than I do on the front, just so you know. And then I'm going to let this dry and I'll cut it out, but I wanted it to have a little sparkle, a little shine, just make it look a little bit better than it did already. So let's see how we did. Oh, that's kind of fun. Remember, I'm going to be cutting out everything around it. I guess I'll put it on this one just a little bit. And then we have a little bit of frisky on there. I'm going to take my Happy Easter and use it. I did punch out a bunch of butterflies because I wasn't sure exactly what I was going to do, and I wanted to have kind of some ideas. So I'm just going to use this scrap paper for my Happy Easter, and I'm going to put this on the outside with taking the Teal. It's Stampin' Up. I think it's the same color as our paper that we're using, our cardstock. I might be wrong about that, but I think it is. And we're going to be punching this out. We're going to be cutting this out, so it's not like it has to be super straight on here. I'm just going to get my paper trimmer. Okay, so we're going to cut out our Happy Easter, and I want to just make sure it's straight looking in here. Using my word happy as a way to straighten out, make the cut straight, if that makes any sense. Have to cut off a little edge there, and then we're going to cut the bottom. I don't know if you can see this. Can you see where the Happy Easter is? There's this little cut bar. If you put it in there so that the Easter is lined up on the cut bar, I hope you can see that. And then you hold down the plastic and you do that, cut it like that, you should have a really straight sentiment. That was just some little helpful hint on if you have a guillotine trimmer. If you don't have a guillotine trimmer, that was no help to you, but it does make it a lot easier to get a straight cut on. We need our paste to dry, and let me see if this is pretty dry. So I think what I'm going to do is cut all these out first. Obviously, I told you that this was a punch. So what you do to, I don't know if you've ever seen one of these in action, but you put it in, and then you squeeze your punch so that the paper can't move. Sorry, I'm going to do this so it's upside down. And then you punch it out like that. And that is the easiest way to do that. Now the rest of these, not so easy. I'm going to have to hand cut them out. So let me hand cut these out and I'll be right back. So I took two of the basic shapes that I punched out of my butterfly punch, and I rub them into this pigment stamp pad, and then I put some clear embossing powder over them, and then we're going to just heat set them, hopefully. Okay, then our next step, I'm going to let them cool off, and then I'm going to get a black ink that's a really bright ink, and I'm going to try and stamp on these with something that's going to really show up good. So I think I'm going to go for the VersaFine Onyx Black, and I'll be right back. I trimmed up the butterfly, I don't know if you can see that, so that it would really be easy for me to stamp over the ones that I've already created. And then I've put a little bit of tape runner underneath these so they won't move. Make sure we get a good, nice, crisp look to these, because there's something that can happen, and that is they will blur a little bit because of the embossing powder is kind of slippery. So I'm going to put a little bit of powder on this again, and we're going to reheat it. Then I think the next thing we're going to do is take our background, which is this. Everything on it is really dry, but I have some images in my stamp set that I thought would be kind of fun to put on here. Maybe this line, I don't know if you can see that line. I thought we would try this little line. Maybe put it down in there. I think I'm still do it in the MISTI just because I'm sure I'll get a good impression with the MISTI. If you don't have a good, if your hand isn't strong, your wrist isn't strong, the best thing to do is to use your elbow or your forearm and just rub it across the MISTI, and I swear that'll help you to get better results. Alright, and then quickly, if you can, I want to grab a Sharpie and use the Sharpie everywhere I didn't get it to ink well. I just want to make sure we fill in the spots we can. Next step, we're going to take it out and put a little bit of powder on it. Okay, next step, I have this Studio G glitter glue, and I thought what I would do is try putting it over my pearls. So I think I'm going to use this, another Studio G glitter glue, and we'll give this one something frisky. Ooh. Okay. Ooh. I do think I want to put a little bit of this glitter glue around the edges of my Happy Easter. I think the next thing I want to do, I punched out some of the same butterflies, only this time with vellum, and I thought what I would do is trim these down just a little bit so that the vellum will show. So we're just going to do a little bit of trimming, not a ton, just enough to make it so that you'll be able to see a difference between the butterfly on top and the butterfly on the bottom. If you don't think that you're good at cutting on something like this when it's too pointed, you can take one of your nail files and just kind of do the edges with it like that, and that'll take care of those weird edges, just in case you have one. Of course, mine are never weird, they're always perfect. I'm sure you can agree. I think it's pretty good. Just a little bit. I might need to cut a little bit more off the bottom of both sides so I can move it down a little bit. And I'm going to have Rich cut this part out so you don't have to wait an hour for me to cut out the bottom edges. So now we're going to get some of our wet glue, and I'm going to glue these. So what you're going to do is, once you put that glue behind the butterfly, the vellum normally will show you the glue, and we don't want our glue to show. So what we're going to do is we put the glue on there, and then you really make sure that the glue isn't anywhere near the edges where the butterfly vellum shows. So that makes sure that you're going to have invisible gluing when vellum normally shows a lot of the glue. So we're trying to avoid that. That's our goal anyway. Don't show any glue if we can avoid it. You just want to make sure that you're putting your glue in the center of your butterfly, so that when you put the paper butterfly on it, no one's going to be able to see that glue. Now, I have an extra butterfly. Well, I have a couple of extra butterflies, but I have some butterflies that I thought I would put in the inside of the card. So since this is what our card looks like on the outside so far, I thought I would just put this little butterfly on the inside. And before I do that, I have a little I don't know what you call this. It looks like little honeycombs. I don't think that's what it is, but that's what it kind of looks like. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little bit of, I think this is called chambray. I'm going to put some of this on. And then I think I'm going to mix it with the green. And I'm just going to kind of mix the two together. Well, I mean, it's okay, but it's not great. We're just still going to stick that little butterfly to it because you're not going to see that anyway. Put a little bit of it here. And then on the outside, in all this crazy area, I'm going to cover with a bunch of butterflies. So the next step, I think we're going to play with the front again. And, well, I do have a stamp for in the inside. I might as well stamp that one, get it over with. It says, "You're one of my favorite peeps," and that came from the Amuse Studios for Peeps Sake. And I could put the little peep in there, but maybe it says to one of my favorite peeps. It says to one of my favorite peeps. And this is the block that I made the lines on so they would be straight. The color, I think I'm just going to use that chambray because it's a darker blue. And we want it to be just a darker. It'll show up on our turquoisey, I guess it's teal blue, since I keep saying teal. I'll send this all the way up, and we're going to just put this where it says to one of my favorite peeps. Hopefully I didn't smear it. Close enough. I really wanted to get as many butterflies on this as possible and using as many different textures on them as I could. So I die cut some out, and I wanted to make sure, oops, got that in my way. I wanted to make sure that every one of my butterflies is placed in a different spot and that looks a little bit different. And I have this banner, and I wanted it to look a little bit wonky with my what do you call that, glitter glue, because I wanted it to look a little bit distressed or a little bit different than normal. I'm going to put some glue dots, no, foam dots underneath it, and that way we'll be sure that we'll be able to raise this enough That way it can make it look a little bit more funky and fun. And I'm just going to use these little dots. These are the glue squares that you get from Dollar Tree. I want to tell you something that I don't usually talk about, but lately I know I've been sounding really distracted and confused a little bit in videos. I have been on steroids for 2 or 3 years, and I was just weaned off of them. I weaned myself off of them with the doctor's help, of course, but I wanted to go off of them a while ago, and we finally were able to do it 2 weeks ago, and it hasn't gone. It didn't go badly when I first did it, but now this whole confusion thing is from not being able to think properly because of the medicines I was on. And so I do apologize for that I don't always make a ton of sense when I'm telling you things, and I do have Rich cut out as much of the confusion as he can, but sometimes you just can't get rid of all of my confusion, if you know what I mean. And I don't like it that I do that, but I'm apologizing, and hopefully you'll forgive me for being a little bit off track. First off, I'm going to put this back there so I don't lose it, and if at some point I ask you where it's at, remember that's where I put it, will you? Okay, the next thing, I just want to lay some butterflies around. So let's put our Happy Easter going through the center. Maybe like that. That's a little crooked. Let's put that there. Then I think I'm going to put a little bit of glue. I just want the glue on the right side because that's what's going to be able to hold it in place right there. So I think what I'm going to do before I finish up is I think I'm going to put a little bit of ribbon on the card, and I'm not exactly sure where because it's already pretty crazy looking, but here's my thinking. I think I'm going to try under the edge of my Happy Easter. I'm going to see if I can stick it under there. This is my plan anyway. So what I'm going to do is shove this straight up under there if I can do it. If I can't, well, you never know. Let's see if we can do bunny ears. So I'm going to make a big bunny ear. And I'm going to hold the one and then go under with the other one. I know it's a little bit crazy. There's a lot going on. Rich thinks it's too crazy, but I'm living with it, and I think it's okay. I'm not thrilled, but I hope all of you will vote on whether or not you think it's a keeper or not. I have a couple of these little, they look like teardrops. And I thought what I would do is put them on top of some of these little sequins. They're hard to hold on to, just to be honest with you. They're really hard to hold on to, and they don't seem to drop where I want them to, but we're going to give it a shot. Okay, I think that will be that, and I have a little piece of ribbon that I'm going to glue to the inside of my card. We just want to make sure that it covers up some of the weird stuff that I didn't like on the inside. You know, some of the glitter and just things that landed oddly in the inside of the card where they shouldn't have been. They should have been on the front of the card. Right up there. And then we'll just cut these little strips off. So here's our card. I hope that you enjoyed it, that you got some ideas of some mixed media techniques, and that you'll give it a thumbs up and subscribe. Please tell your friends about me on social media, because you know I love that. And thanks so much for watching. Bye-bye.